Every day, I feel like I'm checking off a list. I don't know if that sounds like bad or boring, but that's just kind of how my brain works. I'm an insane creature of habit, and I really love a daily routine. And when something knocks me off my routine, that's when the stress comes. So for me, I really need to prioritize things in my day in order to make me feel a sense of accomplishment and to make me feel like, okay, things are moving in the right direction. Things that can knock me off my daily routine, this can be anything from going to dinner or going to eat with a family member, something as small as that, or typically at work, anything that would get me out of the office and kind of mess up that daily routine that I do have in the office. For me, on a daily basis, I put a lot of emphasis on the things that I prioritize. And I find it really curious how other people prioritize their time, whether if that's in a single day or a week or even a year. I find myself prioritizing things and putting them into groups. For example, I have a work slash to do category in my mind. This involves anything at work or daily things that I need to get done, either around the house or, for example, getting my oil changed. Small, minute things that are typically tasks that do take up time, though. Another group of mine would be like self-help. So that is going to the gym, reading, listening to podcasts, doing this podcast, finding a creative outlet, for example. That is a group of mine, a self-help group. My fiance, she's entirely her own group. Prioritizing her is of the utmost importance, and she deserves that. So whether it's a date night, making sure that she's okay, supporting her in any way possible, she deserves to be her own group. And then lastly, I think another group would be like family and extended friend group. Just finding the time to socialize at all is its own group. So today I want to talk about how to justify kind of your priorities, and does that change throughout different times in your life. Recently I took a look at how I spend my day, and I found that I have about 3 to 4 hours of free time, typically within the average weekday. I was kind of shocked by that because that's really not a lot of time. Between all of these different groups that I just kind of discussed, that gets broken up, and I really don't know how to spend those extra 3 to 4 hours in a day. And if I spend them carelessly, like is that a bad thing? I feel like as a child, or even like a young adult, you're always told by older people that make sure your priorities are straight. But I feel like that can really vary to a 6-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 18-year-old, and kind of I don't know what the right time is for someone to say this is your top priority now, and how do you make that decision? For me, I stopped going out at a fairly young age, and I stopped putting a lot of time into that social category. Right when I graduated college, I said, it's time to buckle down. Your career is your number one priority. And that's where I've been the last 5 years. That's been my number one priority, is make sure that you get a solid career in line. But at the same time, I know people who graduated at the same time as I did and are still just completely acting like they're in college. They're partying, they're going to raves, they're festivals, they're traveling, they're spending money aimlessly from what it appears. And I think this is extremely evident now more than ever in the age of social media where we're at. It's just that you're able to see extended people in your life and how they're living on a daily basis and what they're really prioritizing. And I don't know if I'm in the right place to say what they're doing is wrong, but I definitely question it a lot and question myself. And am I making the right choices at 20, 27, 28? Should I be prioritizing my social life more over my career when all these people are going out and spending money and I'm thinking about my savings? And should I be spending money on a $25 t-shirt? at the same time, I think someone could be looking at what I'm posting on social media and saying he needs to really get it together, because there's definitely more people at my age who are more successful than I am, and maybe I'm the one who's kind of messing around or don't have my priorities straight. I need to put more time and emphasis into a certain category. I don't think that I'm missing out on anything. I definitely am okay with where my priorities are set and where they have been the last few years, but I do think about it a lot in the current balance that I have. I don't know how to justify kind of what the correct balance is for setting your priorities in these specific buckets. How does the average person split up the work to social to family to self help, and who's to say if it's right or wrong? And especially that can change throughout time. I definitely think specific events that can happen in your life can definitely alter your priorities, especially traumatic events. I think that something could happen in your life and that could really make you take a step back and think about what you're doing and think about how you're going through life. And that could make you reprioritize certain things. Is that to say that you're going to prioritize them in the correct way? No. But I think after a certain maybe traumatic event or big event in your life, you can easily go all in into one group and make a radical decision. And eventually along the line, you're going to have to navigate, how do I put more time into these other buckets? On a daily level, I really do spend a lot of time thinking about these different buckets and if I'm prioritizing correctly. And I do think about other people in my life, even extended people, that I'm like, how are you finding the time to create such a balance where you're able to devote so much time to your social life or to self-help? I don't know how people are doing this when my constant priority is work and my relationship. I throw so much time into work, and a lot of times I question, am I making the right move? I do really think that I am, because I can see myself growing a lot. But I do have times when I think that I might be putting too much effort into that one specific bucket. And there are times in my life where certain buckets are requiring more of my attention. So I do have to sacrifice and find ways to make it work. And typically that just makes me even more burnt out and more tired, because typically I don't want to sacrifice one bucket for the other. I'm just putting more onto my plate. I really don't like saying no to a lot of things, so it just makes me feel kind of uncomfortable in a lot of situations. So if a family member is asking something of me or is requiring a large portion of my time, I'll typically say yes. And then that means, okay, social life, that needs to be put on the back burner this week. Relationship, that probably needs to be put on the back burner a little bit more. But instead of putting it on the back burner, my original thought goes to, how do I make more time to fill those gaps? I guess that's why I think about other people so much, because I'm thinking, how are they finding the time to do these activities or to spend money how they want to, and I'm not seeing these other buckets fall. They're still holding down a job. I'm assuming their family life is good. They're in a happy relationship. Anyways, I think for right now, my priorities are set straight. I am happy with where I'm at. I'm happy with the balance that I've found, especially this year. I'm putting way more time into kind of the self-help bucket more than I ever have. I'm spending more time alone. I'm spending more time thinking critically, spending more time really on my health, which is really important to me as of the last like 5 months. And I found that putting more time into that bucket has allowed me to outperform in other categories of life. So that's kind of, it's been an odd dynamic for me to where I'm saying, okay, I need to stop working so much, and I need to stop devoting so much time into that bucket so that I can put more time into the self-help bucket. And by doing that, it's allowed me to perform even better at work because I'm able to calm down, I'm able to think clearly, um, and I'm able to just stay engaged for longer periods of time. So, yeah, when someone says kind of get your priorities in line, I really don't know what that means. For it can be different for every person, and I think that's okay. And I think we all need to find kind of what the balance is. And I think at different points of our life, our priorities do shift, whether it's based on age or events in our life that can alter our capacity. But I think that's okay as long as you kind of don't go all in and readjust frequently. For me, I'm constantly thinking about that daily to-do list and readjusting. Okay, I've spent X amount of time in this bucket so far this week. It's a little more than usual. I need to now reprioritize something. I need to throw something else into another bucket. And it's okay to rebalance frequently, I think. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on, especially on a daily basis. I'm beginning of the week, I'm coming in with my priorities set, and then midweek I'm saying, okay, I've devoted a little bit more time than I thought to X, and now I need to focus on Y for the rest of the week. Sometimes I get burnt out midweek and I need to focus on something else that will bring me joy. So I'm always constantly reprioritizing things in my life, and I think that's okay. And I think the average person probably should too, and think about it more of on a holistic view, like I am, throwing into these different buckets. I don't think I'm leaving any buckets out. Am kind of curious to see what other people would put as a bucket though in their lives. So, like if you had a kid, I'm sure that would be number one bucket. So I'm really happy that I have my priorities straight in my eyes. To others, I'm sure that I don't. My family's kind of split up in two different ways, where you have your workaholics and you have your people who just work is not a major part of their life. They retire young, and that's completely okay. And they want to focus on the self-help, the family, the social, and that's completely fine too. For me, yeah, it's kind of odd to see different people who are close to me um, kind of look at how I'm spending a lot of my time and how they can judge my time a little bit as well. For example, I have one person in my life who I'll vaguely say something about how hard I'm working or how hectic something is, and they'll say, keep going, keep on grinding, you'll get through it. Whereas I could tell the same story to another person and they'll say, I don't know why you're putting yourself through this. You don't have to do this. So it's just odd to see that there's such a different mindset in someone's priorities and how they look at me and how I'm prioritizing my life, and they everyone has their own opinions on it. So I don't want to openly judge other people for how they're prioritizing their lives, but I think it's super interesting how you can take two different people close to you, and there's definitely two different sides. So I'm trying to just weigh out those options and rebalance frequently. So yeah, that's all I got for today. I appreciate it. This has been very therapeutic for me so far. As I'm coming in here and kind of voicing all of this, I feel like it allows me to kind of live in the moment a lot more, be more mindful during the day, and really think about what I'm feeling a lot more. So I appreciate it. I'm glad I have this outlet, and I'm going to keep going. So thanks.